Welcome to our deep dive, everybody. This time, we're tackling something I think we all struggle with, productivity. And specifically, we're diving into a book you guys sent our way, Atomic Productivity.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. It's not just about checking things off a to-do list. It's about kind of rewiring your brain, to really get things done without burning yourself out.
Right. So it's like less about quick fixes, more about building sustainable habits, sort of like training yourself for a marathon instead of a sprint. So where should we start with this? What are some of the key ideas from Atomic Productivity that we should unpack today?
Well, first off, the book makes this clear distinction that productivity isn't just about doing a ton of stuff. It's more about, like, producing results. And those results can be, tangible things like a finished project or a report, or they can be things you can't really see, like learning something new from a book.
Okay, so quality over quantity. It's not about checking a million boxes. It's about getting meaningful things done.
Totally. And the book stresses the importance of, like, measurable goals. Instead of just having this vague idea of what you want to achieve, you actually break it down into smaller, concrete steps.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like instead of just saying, I want to learn a new language, you'd say, okay, this week I'm going to learn 10 new verbs.
Exactly. You're creating this, like, blueprint for success. The book even uses this cool analogy, comparing it to building a model rocket. When you've got a detailed plan with all the smaller steps laid out, it feels way less overwhelming and more, doable.
Oh, I love that. Because, staring at a huge, complex task can be so intimidating. But if you break it down into those bite-sized chunks, suddenly it's like, okay, I can actually do this.
Right. But then, of course, there's the whole other side of things, like those pesky obstacles that pop up and try to sabotage our productivity.
Oh, tell me about it. So what does atomic productivity identify as? Like the big productivity killers, I'm guessing procrastination is right up there.
Oh, absolutely. But the book, it digs deeper than just, like, calling it laziness. It explains that procrastination, a lot of times, is about avoiding a task that feels like super overwhelming or just plain unpleasant. So we end up substituting that hard thing with something that seems easier, to make ourselves feel like we're being productive, when really we're just wasting time.
Ugh, I am so guilty of that. Like, oh, I have to write this big report. I'll just reorganize my entire desk first. Definitely a master of procrastination here. What does the book say about, like, actually dealing with that?
Well, it gives a bunch of practical solutions, things like changing your environment, maybe breaking down tasks into even smaller chunks, like we were talking about before, identifying and, like, really getting rid of distractions, and something that can be super helpful, finding an accountability partner,
Yeah.
someone who can keep you honest and on track.
Okay, yeah, accountability is huge. It's easy to slack off when you're the only one holding yourself accountable. But what about other obstacles? I mean, procrastination aside, what else can totally derail our productivity?
Well, I mean, let's be real. In this day and age, cell phones are a huge one. Those constant notifications, that endless scroll that's, like, designed to hijack our brains.
Oh, it's true. My phone is like a black hole of distraction sometimes.
And the book, it suggests some pretty drastic steps, like, get this, turning your phone to grayscale.
Yeah.
Apparently, it makes those apps way less tempting because, the bright colors and all that, it's not as stimulating.
That's interesting. Like taking away the shiny object aspect of the phone, make it less of a slot machine, basically.
Right. And the book is also big on creating phone-free zones, like your bedroom.
Yeah.
Makes sense, to create that separation and actually allow yourself to rest.
Yeah, our phones are basically designed to keep us hooked, but that's not exactly conducive to, a good night's sleep or just chilling out. So, phone's a big one. What else? What about, like, email?
Yeah.
That feels like a constant battle for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. Atomic Productivity suggests, instead of being on email 24/7, you set aside specific times to check and respond. And get this, they even suggest color-coding emails to, like, prioritize them. So blue for low priority, yellow for stuff that needs action but isn't urgent, and then red for, those drop everything emails.
Oh, I love that. I'm a very visual person, so that kind of system would totally work for me. Okay, so phone, email, what else can really throw a wrench in our productivity plans?
Well, believe it or not, clutter. The book makes a big deal about how, like, visual clutter actually competes for your attention and makes it harder to focus.
So it's not just about being tidy for the sake of it. It's about creating a space that actually supports your focus.
Exactly. So Atomic Productivity suggests having, like, regular decluttering sessions and in your workspace, only keeping the things you're actively using right in front of you. Everything else, put it away, out of sight, out of mind.
Makes sense. Okay, so clutter, check. What else is on the list of productivity saboteurs?
This one might surprise you. Caffeine. That morning coffee might feel essential, but the book argues that, like, relying on caffeine for energy can actually backfire. You end up on this roller coaster of, like, highs and crashes throughout the day.
Oh yeah, the caffeine crash is real. So it's about finding those sustainable energy sources, not just the quick fixes that ultimately leave you feeling drained.
Totally. And sometimes, the biggest obstacle as well, ourselves. Like, trying to do everything on our own, never asking for help, that can be super draining and actually, make us less productive in the long run.
Oh, that's so true. That whole superhero mentality, thinking you have to handle everything yourself, it's a recipe for burnout.
And the book is big on, like, delegating and asking for help. It actually frames it as a strength, not a weakness. It even gives advice on how to do it effectively, so you don't just dump stuff on people, but actually make them feel valued. It's more about, like, building a team, not trying to be a one-person show.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered clutter, caffeine, the doing it all myself trap. What about multitasking? Isn't that supposed to make you, like, super productive?
Actually, atomic productivity calls BS on multitasking. It says, when we try to juggle a bunch of things at once, we're not really doing any of them well. We're just, like, rapidly switching our attention back and forth, which makes us less focused and effective overall. So the book is all about, like, single tasking, picking one thing and giving it your full attention.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like quality of attention over quantity of tasks. And of course, we can't talk about productivity without talking about, like, basic self-care.
Oh, absolutely. The book stresses that, neglecting your health, it's like trying to run a car without gas. Just won't work.
It's about recognizing that your physical and mental well-being are the foundation of your productivity. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Right. So atomic productivity talks about prioritizing things like rest, relationships, fitness, nutrition. It's not just about work, work, work. It's about finding that balance, recognizing that you're a whole person, not just a productivity machine.
Totally. It's about creating a sustainable lifestyle that supports both your well-being and your productivity goals. So we've talked about a bunch of those productivity killers, but let's dive into some actual strategies for boosting productivity. You mentioned something earlier about a dopamine detox that caught my attention.
Oh, yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this dopamine detox. What's that all about?
Okay, so this dopamine detox thing, is it like actually cutting out dopamine completely? I'm picturing like a very bland, joyless existence. No, not at all. It's not about eliminating joy. It's more about, like, becoming aware of the things that trigger those quick hits of pleasure, the things that make us crave that instant gratification. Like, think about all those pings and notifications on your phone, the endless scroll of social media. Yeah. Those are all like little dopamine hits, right?
So it's like retraining your brain to, I don't know, find satisfaction in things that actually matter, things that move you toward your goals instead of those, like, quick distractions.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're living in this world of constant stimulation.
Yeah.
We're bombarded with information and entertainment all the time. And that makes it harder to focus on things that take sustained effort, even if they're ultimately more rewarding.
Yeah, it's like our brains are so used to those quick hits of dopamine that anything that requires, like, real effort just feels, well, boring in comparison.
Right. The book uses this example of, like, technology addiction. How those constant notifications, that endless stream of content on social media, it can really hijack our attention.
It's so true. It's like we're training our brains to crave distraction, not focus.
Exactly. So the dopamine detox is about breaking that cycle. It's about taking back control of your attention and, reclaiming your ability to choose what you focus on.
Okay, so how does this detox actually work? Do I have to, like, go live in a cave without Wi-Fi for a week?
No. Does have to be that extreme. But the first step is to, like, really identify your triggers. What are the things that you reach for when you're feeling bored, stressed, or just, unmotivated? Is it your phone, social media, video games? Once you know what your triggers are, the book suggests consciously avoiding or limiting them.
So, like, if my trigger is Instagram, maybe I set specific times I can check it, or maybe I just, I don't know, delete the app altogether for a while.
Exactly. And the book even recommends starting with something a bit more drastic, like a full day without your main trigger. It's like a way to kind of reset your brain's reward system and rediscover those simple joys that don't involve, those constant dopamine hits.
A whole day. Wow, that sounds tough. But also kind of interesting. Like a little experiment in, I don't know, mindfulness and self-control.
Right. And the book argues that it can help you appreciate things you might normally take for granted. Like maybe you rediscover how much you enjoy reading a book or spending time in nature or just having a conversation without constantly checking your phone.
It's like reconnecting with those things that bring genuine joy and satisfaction, not just, relying on those external sources of dopamine.
Okay, so we've talked about avoiding those dopamine triggers, but can you actually use dopamine to your advantage? Can you harness it to boost your productivity?
Oh, absolutely. Atomic Productivity has some great strategies for that. One approach is to, reward yourself for completing those challenging tasks with something you genuinely enjoy. It could be watching your favorite show, spending time with loved ones, whatever really lights you up.
So it's like creating a positive association with work. You're training your brain to see effort as something that leads to something good. Exactly. The book also suggests using music to boost your mood and motivation, especially for those tasks that you might find, kind of boring or tedious.
Oh, I do that all the time. I have different playlists for cleaning, working out, even paying bills. It definitely helps.
Another strategy is to really weigh the opportunity cost of your choices. When you're tempted to just choose the easy path, the instant gratification thing, take a second to consider what you might be missing out on in the long run.
It's like asking yourself, okay, what is this distraction actually costing me? What could I be achieving if I channeled this energy towards something more meaningful?
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the choices you're making and understanding that, every decision has consequences, both good and bad. Now, speaking of making choices that support your productivity, the book really dives into the power of routines.
Okay, let's talk about routines. What makes them so important for productivity?
Well, Atomic Productivity argues that routines, essentially, automate your actions. They free up your mental energy for those more important things. Routines help you conserve willpower and, just make it easier to stick to those good habits. And the book goes into specific routines for mornings, afternoons, and evenings.
Okay, let's start with mornings. What does the book suggest for a productivity boosting morning routine?
One of the simplest but most effective things is to wake up without hitting snooze. When you hit that snooze button, you're actually fragmenting your sleep and making it harder to feel rested.
So no more hitting snooze 5 times before actually getting up.
Exactly. It takes discipline, but it can make a huge difference in your energy levels throughout the day.
I am so guilty of the snooze button. I'll have to try that. What else does the book say about mornings?
Atomic Productivity is big on minimizing decisions in the morning. Choose your clothes, pack your lunch, even decide what you're having for breakfast the night before. So you're not wasting precious mental energy on those little decisions when you're still half asleep.
That makes so much sense. Decision fatigue is real. I'm definitely more decisive after a good night's sleep and a cup of coffee.
The book also suggests getting some kind of light exercise in your morning routine. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, even a short walk, some yoga, a quick workout, anything to get your blood flowing and boost your energy.
I'm all about starting the day with some movement. It helps me feel more awake and ready to tackle whatever comes my way.
Another suggestion is to engage in activities that boost your mental and emotional energy. This could be meditation, practicing gratitude, reading a few pages of a book, or even just doing something you enjoy for a few minutes.
It's like priming your mind for a positive and productive day.
Exactly. And finally, Atomic Productivity recommends tackling your most challenging task first while your energy and focus are at their peak.
Ah, the eat the frog method. Get that big, daunting task out of the way first, and then the rest of the day feels so much easier.
Exactly. It's about capitalizing on that peak mental energy and creating momentum for the rest of the day. Now, how about we shift gears and talk about the afternoon slump? You know that feeling when you hit a wall after lunch?
Oh, tell me about it. Those afternoon slumps can be brutal.
Well, first and foremost, the book says make sure you're eating a nutritious lunch. That's key to avoiding those energy crashes.
So ditch the sugary processed foods and opt for something that will actually provide sustained energy.
Precisely. Focus on meals with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. And just as important, take a proper break. Disconnect, recharge, get away from your desk, get some fresh air, move your body, give your mind a chance to reset.
Sometimes a change of scenery is all it takes to get those creative juices flowing again.
Totally. Even a 5-minute walk can make a world of difference. The book also suggests shifting to easier, less mentally demanding tasks in the afternoon.
So save those big brain-intensive projects for when you have more energy.
Exactly. It's about working with your natural energy cycles, not against them. All right, let's talk about the evening routine. What you do before bed can have a huge impact on your sleep quality and, how productive you are the next day.
I'm all ears. I need all the sleep tips I can get. What does atomic productivity say about creating a good evening routine?
One of the biggest things is to unplug from screens at least an hour before bed. That blue light from our devices, it messes with melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
Ugh, I know I should do that, but it's so hard to resist that late night scroll.
It's a tough habit to break, but it's so worth it for a good night's sleep. The book suggests replacing that screen time with, more relaxing activities. Reading, taking a bath, spending time with loved ones, doing a hobby.
It's about winding down, preparing your mind and body for rest.
Exactly. And another important element of the evening routine is to, plan for the next day. Choose your outfit, pack your lunch, review your to-do list, and just get everything ready so your morning goes smoothly.
It's like setting yourself up for success before you even go to sleep. I love that.
By creating those consistent routines, you're basically automating your productivity. It's like you're making it easier to stick to those good habits and avoid a lot of those energy zappers we talked about. Now, beyond routines, the book goes into managing your energy and attention.
Okay, let's dive into that. What are some of the key takeaways from atomic productivity when it comes to managing your energy and attention?
Well, the book argues that energy and attention management are actually even more crucial than time management itself. Even if you have all the time in the world, you won't get much done if you're totally drained or constantly distracted.
It's about creating the conditions for optimal focus and productivity. It's not just about having time, it's about having the mental and physical energy to use that time effectively.
Exactly. And atomic productivity outlines 4 types of energy: physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. And it stresses that they're all interconnected.
Okay, let's break those down. Starting with physical energy. How does the book suggest boosting and renewing our physical energy?
It really comes down to the basics: nutrition, fitness, and sleep.
Ah, the trifecta of well-being.
When it comes to nutrition, the book emphasizes eating whole, unprocessed foods that provide sustained energy throughout the day. You know, ditch the sugary snacks and processed stuff that leads to those energy crashes.
It's not just about what you eat, it's about when you eat it. Spacing out your meals, choosing foods that give you a steady release of energy.
Exactly. And with fitness, it's not about becoming a marathon runner or spending hours at the gym. It's about incorporating regular movement into your day, whether it's a brisk walk, a yoga class, a quick at-home workout.
Even those little bursts of activity can make a big difference, get your blood flowing, boost those energy levels.
Absolutely. And of course, getting enough sleep is crucial for physical energy. The book recommends aiming for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night.
Sleep is so often overlooked, but it's truly essential for letting our bodies and minds recharge and recover.
Okay, what about emotional energy? How does that tie into productivity?
Well, atomic productivity makes the point that our emotional state has a huge impact on our ability to focus and, actually get things done.
Totally. If you're feeling drained or overwhelmed, it doesn't matter how much time you have, you're not going to be very productive.
Yeah, right. So the book talks about the importance of identifying and limiting your contact with energy draining people. Those people who just leave you feeling depleted and discouraged.
It's about surrounding yourself with people who support your goals and lift you up, not bring you down.
Exactly. And it's also important to understand your own introversion, extroversion needs. Do you recharge by spending time alone or by being around others? Recognizing that and making choices that support your emotional well-being can really impact your energy levels.
It's about knowing yourself and what you need to feel energized and engaged. What about spiritual energy? That refers to that sense of purpose and fulfillment we get when we're doing work that aligns with our values and passions.
It's about feeling like your work has meaning, like it's contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And atomic productivity encourages you to think about what really matters to you and find work or activities that align with those core values. It's about finding that sweet spot where your work feels both challenging and rewarding.
It's about creating a life that feels both purposeful and productive. Okay, and finally, mental energy.
Ah, yes. Our ability to think clearly, focus, and maintain a positive mindset, that's all essential for productivity.
It's like having a clear, focused mind is the foundation for getting things done.
Exactly. And the book is big on mindfulness and meditation as a way to clear mental clutter and reduce stress. It's about training your mind to focus on the present moment rather than getting caught up in worries about the past or the future.
I love that. taking the time to quiet your mind and cultivate a sense of inner peace, that can really have a huge impact on your ability to focus and be productive.
Atomic Productivity also recommends taking breaks throughout the day, just to step away from stressful situations and let your mind reset.
Sometimes all you need is a few minutes of fresh air or a change of scenery to clear your head and regain your focus.
Right. And nurturing a positive mindset is also crucial. When you focus on solutions instead of dwelling on problems, you create a much more productive mental environment for yourself.
It's about training your brain to look for opportunities instead of getting bogged down by obstacles. So it sounds like atomic productivity really takes a holistic approach to productivity, recognizing that our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being are all connected.
That's a great way to put it. But the book doesn't stop there. It also dives into the power of attention.
Okay, let's talk about that. How does atomic productivity approach attention management?
It makes this really interesting point. Our attention shapes our reality. What we focus on determines what we see, what we experience, and ultimately what we achieve.
So it's not just about managing time, it's about managing our focus. It's about being intentional with where we direct our energy and attention.
Exactly. And the book explains that there are two types of attention: voluntary and involuntary.
Okay, let's break those down, starting with voluntary attention.
Voluntary attention is the kind we consciously direct. We choose what to focus on. It's what we need for things like deep work, complex problem solving, that kind of thing.
So it's about actively choosing to focus on a specific task or goal and blocking out distractions.
Exactly. It's about being in the driver's seat of your attention, not letting it get hijacked by whatever's going on around you. Then there's involuntary attention, which is triggered by external stimuli, like a loud noise or, a notification on your phone.
It's those things that just grab our attention whether we want them to or not.
Right. Involuntary attention can be helpful in dangerous situations,
Yeah.
but it can also be a major distraction when we're trying to focus on something important.
It pulls our attention away from what we're trying to accomplish, disrupting our flow and making it harder to get back on track.
The book suggests that managing your attention well involves minimizing distractions, figuring out when your peak attention times are, and then, prioritizing tasks accordingly.
So things like creating a dedicated workspace, using white noise to block out distractions, and communicating your need for uninterrupted time to others, those can all help.
Absolutely. And scheduling those really demanding tasks for those times when you know you're most alert and focused can also make a huge difference.
It's about working with your natural energy and attention cycles to maximize your output.
Exactly.
This book is packed with so much good stuff. It seems like atomic productivity is really about creating this personalized system for getting things done.
That's a great takeaway.
By understanding your own energy patterns, your attention span, and what your personal productivity pitfalls are, you can develop strategies that actually work for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It's about becoming the architect of your own productivity system.
I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, are there any specific productivity hacks or tips from the book that readers can put into practice right away? What were some of the most actionable strategies that stood out to you?
Well, the book has a ton of great tips and tricks. One that I found really helpful is the idea of setting one goal for the day.
So instead of trying to tackle a million things at once, you just choose one significant objective and focus all your energy on accomplishing that one thing.
Exactly. It's quality over quantity, making meaningful progress on something that really matters. And another one that I really like is the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, that's the one where you work in focused bursts with breaks in between, right?
Exactly. It's a great way to maintain your concentration and prevent mental fatigue. You basically set a timer for 25 minutes of focused work, then take a 5-minute break. And after you do 4 of those, you take a longer break, like 15 or 20 minutes.
I've heard great things about the Pomodoro technique. It's such a simple but effective way to structure your work time and avoid burnout. What else?
Well, the book is also big on regular breaks in general. Don't force yourself to work for hours on end without stepping away to refresh your mind and body. Even just a few minutes of stretching, walking around, or just closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths can make a big difference.
Those micro breaks can be so rejuvenating. It's amazing how much they can boost your focus and creativity. Okay, so Pomodoro technique, regular breaks, what else?
Having a dedicated workspace is another big one. It helps you mentally separate work time from personal time, so it's easier to focus when you're in that workspace and relax when you're not.
I can totally relate to that, especially with working from home. It's so easy for those lines to get blurred.
The book also suggests You're really leveraging technology to your advantage. Use those task management apps, set reminders, track your progress. There are so many great tools out there that can help you stay organized and on top of things.
Technology can be a productivity lifesaver when you use it strategically.
Absolutely. And finding an accountability partner can be super helpful. Having someone to share your goals with and who can offer support and encouragement, it can make a big difference.
It's like building in that sense of community and shared purpose. What other productivity tips does the book have?
It recommends being strategic about scheduling meetings, like consolidate them into blocks of time to minimize interruptions and create bigger chunks of uninterrupted work time.
That's a great tip for protecting your focus and preventing your day from getting chopped up by meetings. What else?
The book suggests reading emails only once. Take action on each message right away instead of putting it off. It'll help prevent a backlog and all that decision fatigue that comes with a giant inbox.
Oh, that's a good one. I definitely let emails pile up sometimes, and then it feels so overwhelming to deal with them. Okay, what else?
Writing things down is another helpful tip. Jot down those thoughts and ideas as they come up. It helps clear your mind and maintain focus on the task at hand.
It's about getting those thoughts out of your head and onto paper so you can free up that mental space.
Exactly. And the book also emphasizes preparing the night before. Choose your clothes, pack your lunch, review your to-do list, do whatever you can to set yourself up for a smooth morning.
I love that. Front load your day so those mornings are as effortless as possible. What else?
Get up as soon as your alarm goes off, no lingering in bed. Start your day with momentum and intention.
Okay, no more snooze button. Got it.
And a morning workout, even if it's short, can really boost your energy and mental clarity.
It's about priming your body and mind for a productive day.
Exactly. And having healthy snacks handy can help prevent those hunger-induced distractions and energy crashes.
It's all about creating an environment that supports your productivity goals.
Okay, any other productivity tips before we wrap up this section? One last but very important thing. Recognizing and addressing burnout. The book does a great job of explaining burnout and giving practical advice on preventing and dealing with it.
Yeah, burnout is no joke. It's like hitting a wall, both mentally and physically.
Absolutely. And the book is all about knowing your limits and setting boundaries to prevent burnout in the first place. It encourages you to say no to things that will overextend you, to schedule regular downtime, to prioritize fun and rest, not just work.
It's a good reminder that you're not a machine. You need time to recharge. What about when burnout has already set in? What does the book say about dealing with that?
It suggests a few things. Taking a break, obviously, to recharge. Trying to reframe your work and priorities to find things you can appreciate. Setting firmer boundaries. Delegating tasks. And even seeking support from a therapist or coach. It's about taking a holistic approach, addressing your physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
It's about recognizing that burnout is a sign that something needs to change. It's a signal to pause, reassess, and make adjustments to create a more sustainable and fulfilling work life. This book is like jam-packed with useful information. It seems like Atomic Productivity is really about creating this like a personalized system for getting things done, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just telling everyone to do the same thing, but figuring out what works for you. But I'm curious, does it go beyond like individual productivity? Does it address the role of habits in, achieving long-term success?
Oh yeah, it definitely does. There's actually a whole chapter dedicated to habit building.
Nice. Habits are like the key, right? They let you like automate those positive behaviors that help you reach your goals.
For sure. And the book lays out a pretty clear framework for how to build habits that actually stick.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of the key takeaways from the book when it comes to like actually building those good habits?
Well, one thing Atomic Productivity really stresses is starting small.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to change everything overnight, just pick one little thing and build from there.
So it's about making those sustainable changes, right? Not overwhelming yourself with like a million new habits all at once.
Exactly. It's easy to get discouraged and give up when you try to do too much too soon.
Right, like trying to climb Mount Everest with zero training, you're just setting yourself up for failure. What else does the book suggest?
Consistency is huge. It's about repeating the desired behavior over and over again, so it really gets ingrained in your brain.
Like making it automatic, like brushing your teeth, you don't even think about it, you just do it.
Exactly. And there's this really cool concept the book introduces called the 2-day rule.
2-day rule? What's that?
It means you're allowed to miss one day, but never 2 days in a row.
Oh, I like that. It's like being kind to yourself, but also keeping the momentum going. Life happens, but you gotta get back on track quickly.
Yeah, it's about consistency, not perfection.
Yeah.
And the book has some other helpful tips for making habit building easier, too.
Like what? I'm always looking for ways to, make those good habits stick.
Well, for one, it says to focus on just one habit at a time. Don't try to tackle a bunch at once. Also, find a role model, someone who already embodies the habit you want to build. It can be really motivating to see someone else doing it successfully.
Oh, that's a good idea. Having that visual representation of what's possible.
And atomic productivity really stresses knowing your why.
Hmm.
Why do you want to build this habit? What are the benefits you're hoping for? Having a strong why can really help keep you going when things get tough.
That's a powerful combination. One habit at a time, a role model to inspire you, and a clear understanding of why you're doing it.
It's all about setting yourself up for success, not failure.
I love that. This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've talked about dopamine detoxes, the 2-day rule, so many cool strategies for being more productive. This book, Atomic Productivity, it really seems like a comprehensive guide to optimizing your energy, your focus, your habits. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter.
I completely agree. It's packed with practical advice and strategies that anyone can use.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways is that, small changes can make a big difference. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just start with one thing, stick with it, and see how it impacts your productivity.
That's such great advice. It's a journey, not a sprint, right?
Totally. Progress over perfection. And if you guys are looking for even more guidance and inspiration, we highly recommend checking out Atomic Productivity yourselves. It's got tons of other tips and tricks for leveling up your productivity game.
And one final thought I want to leave you with is this. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Be really mindful of where you're directing your energy and focus. What are you allowing to consume your time and attention? Make conscious choices that align with your values and goals.
That's such a powerful reminder. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things, the things that matter. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into atomic productivity. We hope you learned something new that will help you achieve your goals and live a more productive, fulfilling life. Until next time, everyone.